Hello out there, my name is Caitt and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you my top 7 favorite films. And quickly before this video starts, I am now a 4Ocean ambassador and you can use my code Caitt20 to get 20% off of your entire purchase at 4Ocean.com. 4Ocean is one of the world's largest ocean cleanup companies dedicated to ending the ocean plastic crisis by removing 1 pound of trash from the ocean, rivers, and coastlines for every product sold. Starting off with my 7th favorite film, it is The Age of Adaline. It was released in 2015 and is a romance fantasy, which any romance genre is not something you would ever see me watching, but The Age of Adaline has so much more to it than a romance or a couple. There's so much more. It's more on the fantasy side. It is directed by Lee Toland Krieger, who also directed some Riverdale episodes, and stars Blake Lively, Harrison Ford, and Michiel Huisman. I think I'm saying that right. I have the pronunciation right here, so. Michiel Huisman. So the storyline goes, following an accident, a woman does not age physically for over 7 decades, and she keeps her true age a secret. This secret is threatened to be exposed when she goes to stay at her new love's parents' house for the weekend. And there is a twist in there that I can't tell you about. My 6th favorite film is Warlock. You probably haven't heard of this. It is a trilogy, but the storylines don't connect, so you could watch any of the films if you just want to watch one of them. They're all like standalone films. All 3 of the films are in the horror fantasy genre. My favorite of these 3 films is the first one that was released in 1989. It was directed by Steve Miner, who also directed Friday the 13th parts 2 and 3. Having a very Friday the 13th filled year this year. And you don't really know what that means yet because we haven't gotten to October yet. It stars Julian Sands, Richard E. Grant, and Laurie Singer, and follows a witch hunter and a young woman from the 20th century trying to stop a warlock's plans to destroy the world after they have traveled from the 16th century to the 20th century. James Wan, my favorite director, who also directed The Conjuring, Insidious, you've heard me talk about him before. He actually recommended this film. I found out about this film in October, watched it in October. Actually, I think I watched all 3 films like 3 days in a row because I love them so much. The second Warlock, called Warlock the Armageddon, was released in 1993, directed by Anthony Hickox, and he also directed Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. Once again, Julian Sands is the Warlock, joined by Paul Marshall and Chris Young. The story of this film is that druids are trying to stop the Warlock from collecting runestones that would give him the ability to raise Satan. This one is actually my least favorite of the 3. I feel like there's just something a little off about it, especially following that first film. The 3rd Warlock film, called Warlock 3: The End of Innocence, was released in 1999 and directed by Eric Freiser. This film follows a young woman who inherits a family home that she didn't know existed, while a warlock tries to sacrifice her. The warlock this time is played by Bruce Payne, and also stars Bodie Bliss and Ashley Lawrence. And since I said the first Warlock was my favorite, the second Warlock was my third favorite, the third Warlock film is my 2nd favorite. It's very creepy. My 5th favorite film is Nerve. It was released in 2016 and is an action thriller. It is directed by Ariel Schulman and Henry Joost, and they also directed Paranormal Activities 3 and 4 and the Catfish documentary. They both also work as producers on Catfish, the TV show on MTV, starring Ariel's brother, Neve. Nerve stars Emma Roberts and Dave Franco, and the storyline is that a teenager is pressured by her friends into joining an online dare game called Nerve. In the game, players can get paid by completing dares that were sent in by watchers. And if you haven't already guessed, as the night goes on, the dares get more and more risky. Now, one reason why this is one of my top films, I knew that I loved this film, but when I rewatched it, I'll talk more about that in a second. When I rewatched it, the soundtrack was definitely part of the reason why I love this film so much. And like I said, I rewatched this film. I also rewatched every film besides one, and that was the top film on this list, along with, I can't even count how many other films that I love, because not only did I have to pick my favorite films of all of the films that I love, I had to put them in order of which one was my favorite, which one was second, third, fourth, all the way up to seventh. My fourth favorite film is Now You See Me, and there are two films, and I think they're making a third potentially in this film series. The first, Now You See Me, was released in 2013 and is a crime thriller directed by Louis Leterrier, who also directed The Incredible Hulk. It stars Jesse Eisenberg, Mark Ruffalo, Dave Franco, Woody Harrelson, Morgan Freeman, and Isla Fisher. The film features a group of magicians called the Four Horsemen that try to evade the FBI and a magic debunker as they perform illusions to steal from the rich and give back to their audiences. The second Now You See Me film, called Now You See Me 2, was released in 2016 and is a crime adventure film directed by John M. Chu, who also directed another one of the films that I love, Crazy Rich Asians. Jesse Eisenberg, Mark Ruffalo, Morgan Freeman, Dave Franco, and Woody Harrelson are joined by Lizzie Kaplan and Daniel Radcliffe. This film follows the Four Horsemen, who are kidnapped by a tech businessman while the FBI expands their search for them. The film that I like more out of these two is the second one. I like Now You See Me 2, that's my favorite of the two, and then Now You See Me is my second favorite of this film series. And I think the reason for that is because the first film kind of follows more of the FBI's journey, and the second film focuses more on the Four Horsemen's journey. One of the other reasons I like Now You See Me 2 better is because there was this show that I would watch growing up, and it was called Magic's Biggest Secrets Finally Revealed. And it would show a magician performing magic tricks, and then they would show you the secret behind the magic trick, like how they did it. And now we are into the top 3 of my favorite films, and my third favorite film is a film trilogy called Eastrail 177, or the Unbreakable Trilogy. All 3 of these films are directed by M. Night Shyamalan, which I think he just goes by Night. I've heard most people just call him Night. And he has also directed films like Old, The Visit, The Sixth Sense. I love all of these films. He is, again, with James Wan. Night is my favorite director. Those two are my favorite directors. The first film in the trilogy is called Unbreakable. It was released in 2000 and is a sci-fi thriller. It stars Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson. After being the sole survivor of a train crash, a security guard meets a man with brittle bone disease. Through the help of each other, they figure out who they are as individuals. The second film in the trilogy is called Split. It was released in 2016 and is a horror thriller starring James McAvoy and Anya Taylor-Joy. Now, James McAvoy is one of my favorite actors, and actually after I watched Split, or while I was watching Split, he became my favorite actor, along with Matthew Lillard, if that wasn't already obvious enough. The film follows a man with 23 personalities who kidnaps 3 teenage girls, and the girls must try to escape before a 24th personality, who is very dangerous, finds them. Now, this is my favorite film of the trilogy, partly because of James McAvoy. There are scenes, he plays a character with 23 personalities, and he is able to just switch characters. So he's playing 23 different characters. The third film is called Glass. It was released in 2019 and is a thriller drama. It stars Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, James McAvoy, Anya Taylor-Joy, that almost rhymed, and Sarah Paulson. The security guard Bruce Willis in the first film is called the Overseer. James McAvoy in the second film is called the Horde, and Samuel Jackson, also in Unbreakable, is known as Mr. Glass. So the Overseer, the Horde, and Mr. Glass are all brought together in this film. And let's just say their connection is not a coincidence. Like I said, Split, the second film, is my favorite. Unbreakable, the first film, is my second favorite. And Glass, the third film, is my third favorite. The reason it's my third favorite is the ending. I am so torn over because I wish that part of the ending didn't happen, but I like that part of the ending did happen. Knight also wanted a soundtrack for Unbreakable, just for Unbreakable, so that it would be recognized, and I love this music. It starts off here. Turns into this. It fits the film perfectly. I don't know if there's ever been a soundtrack more perfectly fit to the story than this song. My second favorite film series of all time is Knives Out, directed by Rian Johnson, who also directed Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Both films are in the crime mystery comedy genre, and the first film was released in 2019. It stars Chris Evans, Ana de Armas, Toni Collette, and Jamie Lee Curtis, along with Daniel Craig. The story follows Detective Benoit Blanc, played by Daniel Craig, who is investigating the death of a crime novelist, and everyone in the family is a suspect. The second film was released in 2022 and is called Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery, again starring Daniel Craig as Benoit Blanc. This time he is joined by Janelle Monáe, Kate Hudson, and Madeline Klein. During the story, a tech billionaire invites his friends to a murder mystery getaway on his private island in Greece. But at the murder mystery party, someone is actually murdered, and it is up to Benoit Blanc to find the murderer. Now, in these films, I like the first one better than the second one, but I love both of them. One of the reasons why I love this one is also kind of tied to the reason that I love the second Now You See Me so much. And that, again, goes back to that TV show, Magic's Biggest Secrets Finally Revealed. About halfway through, you are in on part of the secret of the mystery. And I love that because there's still a mystery to be solved. Also, I'm wearing a Scooby-Doo shirt. I love Scooby-Doo. I love mysteries. And now on to my top one. I did this in my last my top 7 horror films. Now, my top one. Is that what you say? Top one? But if you watch that if you watched that video, then you know exactly what my top film is, because it's also my top favorite horror film, and that is Seven. I've also kind of been winking whenever I say the word seven. Seven, seventh, seventh, seven, seven. Seven, 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 seven. It was released in 1995 and is a crime thriller directed by David Fincher, who also directed Panic Room. It stars Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, and Gwyneth Paltrow, and follows a retiring detective and a young detective investigating murders, when they realize that this series of murders are all connected because they are each based off one of the 7 deadly sins. And with this film, along with all of the other films that I've mentioned, It is one that you can watch multiple times and you will notice a different detail every time you watch it. With all films that I watch, I like to watch it twice. One, to just watch the film, and one, now that I know everything that's going to happen, to look for those hidden clues that the director, writers, producers put in that you didn't notice the first time that you watched it. So I feel like every film has to be watched twice to find those little hidden clues. Thank you so much for watching this video. Remember to like and subscribe to be notified whenever I upload. Also use my code Caitt20 at 4ocean.com to get 20% off of your entire purchase. I will see you in 2 weeks with another new video. Bye!
I created a choreography video and I haven't created a music video. I started to. I want to do that again. So if you want me to create a music video inspired by Closer, which is the theme song or the opening credit song from the movie Seven, which is my favorite horror movie and just favorite film of all time, then comment down below.